Okay. I think we're back. We're back. We are back. Okay, so that was fun. Oh Lord. We are back at it. Anyways, we back. We back. Thank you, Firehorse. Thank you. Anyways, welcome. So you are where are you originally from, man? I hear an accent in there.
I'm originally from New Carlisle, Ohio, right outside of Springfield.
Oh no shit. Okay. I
Yeah,
guess there is a little bit of an accent down there, isn't there?
yeah, it gets pretty thick out in the country.
Hell yeah. Is that where you're from? You're from the country, Ohio. I'm in Toledo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I grew up, and then I went to school at Ohio State, and then came up to Chicago 2012,
Now,
and then
is that Ohio State in Columbus or in Miami?
oh, Columbus.
Columbus. Nice. Buckeye. So you're a Buckeye.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
I don't pay attention to sports. Are you a sports guy?
Less and less. Uh,
Listen.
yeah,
So what?
I still watch the Buckeyes and the Cincinnati Bengals now that
Oh,
they're
okay.
finally good after our entire lives they sucked. So I feel like these last couple years I've been like healing from the trauma of like being too attached to the Bengals when I was younger and just getting destroyed week after week.
It is, it is traumatizing if you have have a losing team, and that's just it's just how it goes. What is making you sort of retreat from Chicago and sort of finding somewhere else or going? I know you said you got a job, but were you looking to get out of Chicago before you got your job?
Yeah, I was actually at one point thinking about getting a travel trailer and cruising the entire country, um, mainly to public speak about regenerative farming and to rap and yeah, I found this gig. It's Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed 100% grass fed beef, a leader in regenerative farming, which is a lot of the volunteering I've been doing the last 4 years. So it just feels good to finally do that full time.
Now, is this something that you invested in, or are you just going to be working?
Um, I am yeah, inside sales renegade is the official title, but it's just kind of a startup vibe. I'm like the 19th employee, so I'll be doing a bunch of different stuff, some project management, helping out at the farm, which I'm really pumped for, and then getting some really good meat and eggs and honey in return.
Now, when you're talking about regenerative farming in your specific field, what are you talking about?
It's all about building healthy soil. A diverse farm, not a monoculture with one crop on 10,000 acres. But having if you ever seen The Biggest Little Farm is a good movie that shows how the entire farm works together. Like there's a scene where slugs are attacking the fruit orchard on their farm, and then they bring in the ducks, and the
Hmm.
ducks come in and just start slurping up all the little slugs. And um, so just having a diverse farm where everything works together to build up the ecosystem and encourage biodiversity on the
Hmm.
farm. And in the process, you're sequestering carbon and reversing climate change. But for animals, for instance, it's also really healthy meat that helps balance the omega 6 to omega 3 ratio in those meats.
And why do you need a balance of omega 6 and omega 3?
Well, it's just back to wild game, back to the natural way that the animal would eat, grazing their entire life from when they're born till they die, grass, not only grass fed but grass finished. And
Hmm.
so we have them in confined feedlots, feeding them all kinds of GMO junk. But the big thing is the 100% grass fed label. There's a huge loophole where you can still feed them these dry distillery grains where they put GMO corn into an ethanol plant, and then this pops out these nasty dry distillery grains. There's a loophole where you can feed that to the cows and still put the grass-fed label on there. So that's why regenerative meat, is so important.
Hmm. So you're saying that these companies will use a loophole and say it's grass fed, but it's really not, or the loophole. Okay, okay. So it's a bad thing then. It's not a good thing because it's not actually a cow eating grass, grazing, free ranged, and doing their thing. It's they're just
Yeah.
sort of. They're just sort of like you said, there's a loophole. And they're separating certain materials out of the GMO grain and feeding that to them, and they're calling and the FDA allows that to be called grass fed.
Yeah. And another huge aspect of the regenerative farming with animals is holistically grazing the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And say you have them in one area of a paddock, and then you have a fence, and you'll leave them there for a couple days. You don't want them to overgraze because they'll rip out the roots, and then you got a bunch of mud. Like you see some mom and pop ranches, there just be grass ripped out and a bunch of mud everywhere. You want to allow that grass to grow up, and then the roots grow deeper, sequesters more carbon, and all that carbon feeds all the microorganisms,
Mm.
and they in exchange send a bunch more nutrients to the grass. And then you let that grow back up while you move the fence over, put the cows over on this side, so you're constantly managing them.
Boom.
So it's a lot more work,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
the way to really build healthy soil.
That's awesome. So what why is it so harmful? And maybe it's not to just do like monoculture where you're just growing corn on the same plot of land over and over and over again. You know, what's negative about that? If there is negative aspects of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like we don't eat corn 24/7.
Mm.
We have a diverse amount of nutrients and microbiome coming from the different animals and plants that we eat that feeds our gut microbiome. So, we're deteriorating the soil microbiome, and that translates to us, deteriorating our gut microbiome. And
Mm.
everybody, these days have had gut problems
Yeah.
at some point. And another big aspect is they just spray and spray a bunch of glyphosate, which is actually classified as an antibiotic by our government, and a bunch of other pesticides. The newest GMO you can spray on this GMO soybean that they developed, you can spray 5 different pesticides on it, and so it's just this soup of toxic chemicals that we're spraying on these fields. And you look at all restaurants pretty much use soybean oil, this
Mm.
GMO soybean oil that is also really high in omega-6 and low in omega-3. So we're getting inundated with the high omega-6 through meats and all the oils, and that's causing inflammation is what that does. And so yeah, the monoculture, it's too much chemicals, too much machines. We're digging down deep and over tilling and over plowing and breaking up all those mycorrhizal fungi,
Mm.
the mycelium that are the connection that sends the nutrients, back and forth through, underground, that little internet web in the earth, constantly gets broken up if we're over plowing. So yeah, another aspect is doing a no-till or using minimal tillage to help allow a natural state
Mm.
to form.
Yeah, that's wild. The interesting thing about it too is, this is one of the when you talk about people who are vegan, and we have a vegan in our chat actually right now. God bless her soul. When you think about like these monocultures and the machinery that works the land and stuff, it's not like you're eating murder-free vegetables, because when these things are being tilled, you're killing ground squirrels, deer, all these different animals sort of get ground up into the machinery. So it is a dangerous not dangerous, but it is sort of a farce, I suppose, to think that it's you're not hurting any animals by just eating vegetables, because those vegetables, the way that they are obtained, is murdering lots of insects, animals, and birds, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had a question
Yeah.
from and I do want to get into veganism and stuff too, because I know you have raps and stuff about meat and all that stuff. But we did have a couple questions from the chat. The do you work with specific types of cattle breed, and what are they?
So a lot of the work I've been doing is volunteering, just helping out at different farms.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just started at this, new farm, Thousand Hills,
Okay.
and it's actually a conglomerate of 50 family farms
Oh
all over the
wow.
country. So, to be honest, I don't know the exact breed that they use. I haven't been on that farm yet. When I move up there, July 29th, I'll start working with those animals and learn more about that.
Okay. And then what's your thoughts on burning pastures from natives?
I was actually just up in Minnesota. We had a couple trade shows in. Um, one of my coworkers took me out to some of his friends out in rural Minnesota, and it was these 20-year conservationists that had huge plots of land and actually did controlled burnings
Hmm.
to help clear out some of the dead trees and plants, and then that facilitates more production and the native plants to come in, and then also planting like oak trees, for instance, and really trying to foster that biodiversity and the more of the native natural environment.
Hmm. Yeah, I know, like in Australia, they do a lot of controlled burns because it's actually how some of their plants are able to grow. Is you have to burn them somehow. It does some weird shit. But I was talking to an Australian guest, and he was talking about how they do pasture burns on his property, on his ranch, to actually allow certain plants to breed. And Naders agrees with you, by the way. And he also wants to know where you get one of those "Make America Graze Again" shirts.
Yeah, you can get on my website, regenryan.com.
Okay,
Uh,
let me hold on. And then if you guys want to link up with Ryan, that's Robbie. Oh, oops. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. I got all the things. I got all the things. I got all the things. Oh, what happened?
yeah, I got a few others on there. Don't Hate, Regenerate. It's the name of one of my songs.
Don't
Uh,
hate, regenerate. I'm gonna put
and I Like It Raw. That's always a fan favorite when I do it live.
baby, I like it raw. Yes, I know that's not what you're doing, but you are a fan of hip hop, I take it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I was big into Ja Rule, Eminem, 50
Ja Rule,
Cent.
dude, Ja
Yeah,
Rule, hell
Ja
yeah.
Rule. Yeah, dude, I was into all that stuff growing up, and even some old school like Wu-Tang and Dr. Dre. I remember rolling around smoking blunts to Dr. Dre back in high school.
There you guys go. So if you guys are interested in checking out his shirt collections, I did just drop the links in the chat. And if you're listening on the audio end, please make sure you go into the show notes and make sure you're clicking on these links and supporting our guest, Regen Ryan. And regenryan.com is where you can get shirts and such. So go and click on those links, guys. Go through. I was going to ask about something. I just forgot. Oh, yeah. They want to know about lab meat. What's your opinion on this lab meat that's sort of coming out? I know like New York has been cleared for it, and I think Los Angeles has been cleared for it. And surprise, surprise, Bill Gates is the one who's sort of ushering this in. What's your thoughts on this lab grown meat?
Not eating it.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean they're over there killing cattle in the Netherlands, and forcing farmers to kill their cattle
Mm-hmm.
in the name of climate change,
Right.
acting like the cows are, causing, more warming. When actually, if you look at the white oak pastures study, which I did on my YouTube, I have a PowerPoint presentation called "It's Not the Cow, It's the How," and I referenced that study. They showed that over the life cycle of the animal, you're actually sequestering, more carbon if you're properly managing the cattle and grazing them. And so it's just a matter of how you manage the cattle. They have them stuck in confined feedlots. They're pooping all over each other, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's when it gets a little crazy. But that is not the issue at all. Actually, the fastest way to regenerate the soil and sequester carbon and reverse climate change is using ruminants. Properly grazing them.
I see. And so, if you have a proper grazing, their farts are putting off so much emissions and creating the global warming. What you saying? So, how would you? So, because obviously there was a reason we started doing factory farming, and I'm not defending factory farming; it's disgusting. But we do have a lot of people, specifically in America, that need to eat, and we need access to it. Is this possible on a large scale? Because I mean, I know it's able to do on a smaller scale in a local setting, but is this something that we could possibly do on a big, on a huge setting like we do with factory
Yeah,
farming now?
absolutely. Like right now, um, it's about 70% of the world is fed on by peasant farmers, which is like 2 acres or less. That's a stat.
That's a nice
And so
name, peasant
we're
farmer.
already
Yeah, go
we're
ahead. I'm sorry.
already feeding ourselves, through the small farmers. Now we do need more farmers. It'd be cool to see the young generation be excited about becoming a farmer. But yeah, that's if you look at the majority of the monocultured crops like the corn and soybeans, a lot of that is 30% going into the GMO feed that they feed the confined animals that we don't want to eat anyways. Another 30% is going to ethanol. They're sticking in our fuel. And the other 30% is going in a bunch of processed food that we don't want to eat anyways. So the majority of those huge farm fields that are destroying the land, we're not really eating directly.
Hmm.
It's going to all this other processed stuff. So um, yeah, I firmly believe we can continue to feed each other without the factory farms.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like we would just need more. I don't know. Does it require more land? Is that a big part of why we don't do it? I mean, it seems obviously factory farming, we've sort of narrowed it down to a science, so it's very much like pump chemicals in, get this, here's the input, here's the output, and here's what we can project for future sales. It seems like on a smaller scale, it would require more land, obviously more work, more time, more effort. So then would we just need more smaller farms in order to feed like almost 400 million people?
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely help if
Mm.
we had some more, people interested in farming and more, small farmers doing it the right way. Thousand Hills, we're doing a great job of, bringing together, 50 family farms all over the U.S.
Mm.
And, we are actually the number one protein brand in the natural retail channel. We have over 50% of the market share, and we're in over 1,000 co-ops all over the U.S. within that network of 50 farms. So really, giving the consumer the opportunity to vote with their dollar. And, our owner, Matt, he's a cancer survivor himself, and he truly believes in healing the land and healing the people, and he has very low margins. So it blows my mind when I was at the co-op stores, like pretty much the same price and sometimes less money was some of our regenerative meats compared to conventional meats.
Mm.
So you can also get it direct, Thousand Hills, lifetimegraze.com. But pretty much every co-op and in the Midwest, Northeast, the West Coast. The Southeast were a little more work on as far as the co-ops. But yeah, we are a leader in making it easier to vote with your dollar and have access to regeneratively raised and lifetime grazed grass-fed beef.
And here's a Thousand Hills Lifetime Graze, the website here, and they sort of break it down a little bit more, huh? They learn more.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information in there.
Um, it, do you think that there's a little bit, because you mentioned the Netherlands and how they're forcing people to kill their cattle off in the name of global warming? Do you think that global warming is a do you think it's being used in a way politically, and that it's maybe a little overdone, or do you think we are at sort of this crisis point in our existence as humans on Earth? That's a weird way to word that.
I think both of those are true.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. He's
yeah,
like, yeah.
they're trying, to
Mm,
twist it and use it, just like they do with everything.
mm.
And, I mentioned the loopholes with grass-fed, labeling, even the USDA organic certification. There's loopholes in that, and I did a PowerPoint presentation. It's on my YouTube called "Eating USDA Organic is Not Enough," because that certification, there's nothing about building healthy soil at all, and you just do the bare minimum to get the certification, which means you don't use, this pesticide, this pesticide, this pesticide, and there's organic pesticides that are approved, and we used rotenone, which is an organic pesticide, all the way up till 2019, until we finally stopped using it because it caused Parkinson's
Oh
disease,
Jesus.
and they knew that before 2019.
Are you serious?
Um,
That seems. Isn't that? Doesn't that? It's funny that that's not a huge surprise that you have this kind of corruption, because that's corruption. I mean, would you agree with?
exactly.
Yeah,
And we've seen so much corruption in the last few years.
absolutely.
And the thing with that is, you go to Whole Foods, and pretty much 90% of the organic produce in there are coming from these huge industrial organic farms that are using a monoculture, thousands of acres, one crop. The soil's not healthy, which means the nutrient level is pretty much the same as the conventional. They're just not using these specific pesticides on the list, but they might be using these other organic pesticides,
Brought to
such
you
as
by
rotenone,
Pfizer.
that
Fuck
could be
you.
just as bad.
Pay me.
Naders, thank you for that, and thank you, Pfizer, for bringing us our drugs, our politicians, our news media, and the way to think correctly. Okay. Anyways, thank you, Naders.
That's good. That's
Uh,
good.
yeah, I'm sorry. That was you were in the middle of saying something. I'm sorry.
No, that was beautiful. That's exactly what I'm saying. Big ag, big pharma. They're all in cahoots. They have a bunch of lobbyists, at the White House, and it's a grassroots movement. Conversations like this,
Hmm.
just the more people bring awareness and come into community and visit their local farmers and vote with their dollar, the faster we can wash out that corruption. And the systems are crashing. It's just a matter of how much time. So we got to start building community and building new systems, and so we can move forward.
Yeah, here we go. Mighty, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. So, what do you think is sort of the best way for somebody on a small level who's like, how can I, contribute? How can I, make this, how can I do my part? What would you suggest to people in order to sort of, if they want to go down this road and sort of like eat clean and regenerative food and stuff, what would you say is the best approach to that?
I would go, look for the closest local farmer, and have a conversation with them, say, hey man, how can I help you? How can I help? And all of them pretty much need help. And so that's a great way to learn, get your hands dirty. And the any type of local food's going to be better than the majority of the stuff that I mentioned in a lot of stores. So that would be number one. Composting, that's something I started doing a few years ago, sending it to local farms. There's actually a few cities that they mandated it, which is great to hear, but
Wait.
it'll be a while.
They mandated
Yeah,
composting?
up in San Francisco, St. Louis. There's a few others. So you have recycling, the
Hmm.
waste bin, and then compost bin.
Oh.
Put all your food in the compost bin because the after animals, composting it would be the second fastest way to regenerate the soil.
Hmm. Yeah, I read.
Um,
Oh, go ahead, please finish.
oh no, go ahead. I'm
No,
just rambling there.
no, well, no, it's good information because I mean, some people literally just don't know, but but they want to get away from, you know, this factory farming because a lot of people, because the internet, a lot of people are aware of what's going on and how funny. I mean, you can tell that there's so much corruption going on when you can't even film these factory farms because there's an actual now you what is it I forgot what they were calling it, but you actually cannot film or show how these factory farms work legally now, and I just feel like that says a lot about the industry. If you can't even
Yeah,
see how the donuts are made, then it's obviously it's something weird going on there. It's not like they're not trying to
yeah.
protect intellectual property, right? They're trying to protect their asses because they know what they're doing is disgusting. I mean, cesspools, bro. Have you ever been through? Central Valley, California? Have you ever driven like
Not
on the five, like in summer?
not yet.
It is fucking disgusting. Like it's probably about 100 miles of just factory farms in the middle of the desert. It's in California, and in the heat it's like it's like 112 out, and you drive by these cesspools or these little towns that have these farms and these huge farms in it, and the whole town smells like a cesspool, like piss and poop, and plus that is sort of rotting on itself, and then the chemicals that they dump into these cesspools. It's really off-putting, man, like how disgusting these places are. How does regenerative farming sort of prevent cesspools and stuff like that, and that kind of pollution?
Well, yeah, a lot of that is just because they're all bunched together
Yeah.
in the confinement feedlots. So just letting them breathe
Mm.
and graze and managing them, constantly rotating them, and they're just free and got sunshine and fresh air. Like all of us are supposed to have. You mentioned the kind of the censorship of not allowing us to even go in there. I mean, we saw the insane mass censorship the last few years,
Mm.
with COVID and everything else, and it's been going on a lot more than before COVID, with all sorts of different health and wellness items. So it's yeah, it's just all about building community, sharing this information, you know, bringing more awareness. And so my nonprofit, the One Living System, we had our first big event down in Virginia, January 22nd.
Oh, cool.
It was a big public speaking event. Me and my friend Derek were the co-host. Then we brought in a few farmers, a composting company, a recycling company, a couple health food stores, and a diversity expert, Dr. Edwin Nichols. And it was supposed to be 3 hours. We ended up going 4 hours, but allowing all of them to speak and share their resources with the community. And then I interjected with some spoken word and some raps to spice it up, in the event. and it was just so cool to see all the connections, being made within the community down there. That was in Loudoun County in Purcellville, Virginia, down where Derek lives.
Wait,
But
did you say Loudoun
I'm
County?
Loudoun County.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that where all that like the parents were getting beat up and stuff for speaking out at the schools? Like
I don't know.
I think that's where it was. I think there was like a young girl who was sexually assaulted by a trans girl in the girls' bathroom, and I think that the parents came out speaking. I think it's all in that same county. That's really it's really funny.
Oh,
Anyways,
okay.
it has
Yeah.
nothing to do
So
with what you're doing.
yeah. So we're gonna have another event down there sometime in the fall. But now that I'm moving up to Minneapolis area, I'm gonna have an event up there late spring or early fall of 2024. But yeah, that was just really heartwarming, to see the community come together and make all those connections and build awareness and really build like a neural mycelial network among the regenerative community. Just all the people that are doing good things and working towards the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible, like Charles Eisenstein says. I think we have all the solutions. We really just need to connect more and come together and help each other more.
Yeah, it seems like it's getting harder and harder to um it seems like it's getting harder and harder to it feels like there's an active resistance against people becoming, going forward with these kinds of things. Do you feel that resistance? Is that something that you feel? Like it feels like
Yeah,
people there's forces that are actively trying to sort of make, I mean, even painting people out to be like woo woo or like or discredit them and stuff. Uh, would you
yeah,
agree with that? Would you agree that?
absolutely. I mean, you're seeing it with RFK Jr. His presidential campaign.
Yeah.
They're censoring, all his interviews.
Right, right. Was it
They're trying to
ABC,
label.
CBS or something? CBS. They wouldn't even show his full interview because it's misinformation and we're not going to spread it. And it's
And yeah, the guy's, got all the science to back up all his claims. And, they try to label him as anti-vax to, shun him. But, he doesn't even say he's anti-vax. He just wants the vaccines to be treated the same way as other pharmaceuticals, a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial,
yeah,
which they do not do with any of the vaccines.
yeah.
And so I'd love to see, somebody out there, that has that rational thinking. And he's been in courts for, you know, decades now, fighting for environmental issues and everything else. I mean, the guy just has a hell of a track record. And the latest polls, he was actually, higher than Biden. And my brother sent me a latest poll, so he's gaining a lot of traction just through the podcast tours he's
Podcast,
been
yeah,
doing.
because he's basically, I mean, they're having him on in the mainstream media, but like basically they're starting to black him out because it feels like there's forces that do not want him to speak or gain traction. And then
Yeah,
I saw like the introduction or like this interviewer was asking him, was like, people are afraid that you're going to steal votes from Biden because you're running as a Democrat, and Trump, is going to be able to get in, and Trump thinks you're a great guy. What do you think of Trump? Like it was just like the setup, and then the question was so obviously trying to get him to say something, and he's like, "Look, I'm not playing that game." And like he just said, and that's and like I feel like you like RFK, and like you're putting off RFK vibes. Me too. I like him. I think
yeah,
he's a better.
I do.
I think he's a better choice than what we got, and and what the other ones are. I'm not a fan of any of them, but RFK does seem to be speaking up about these issues. It's interesting to see this whole. Have you seen this whole Twitter thing with Joe Rogan and trying to get Peter Hotez, who is basically a shill for big pharma? He's a scientist. They want him to come on the Joe Rogan show and debate RFK because this dude Peter Hotez keeps saying that what he's doing is misinformation and he's lying and he's a conspiracy theorist. and
Yeah.
they've gotten up to like $2.6 million to donate to charity for him to come on JRE and have a debate with RFK, who, by the way, is not a scientist or a doctor, but he is very well educated and he's very, he's done a lot of research. He works with very smart people. It's not like he just was like, read some blog, right? He didn't just Google like vaccines and then cited some blog. He actually has like, have you read the book? Have you read his book? What's that called? Oh, the real
The
Anthony Fauci.
real Anthony
Yeah.
Fauci. I read a little bit of
Mm.
it. It's hard to read. It's there's so much corruption, and he has so many references, and so much good facts to back it up that yeah, it's hard to get through. So I haven't gotten too far yet.
Yeah.
It's a constant balance of you don't want to focus too much on all of the negativity, and you got to move forward and try to create the new earth that we're all working towards.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You can't just like, stay in this negative space, but I definitely think it's important for people to educate themselves in that in what's going on.
Hmm.
The wild thing is like how much that you when you were saying earlier how they don't really test, they don't do proper testing for these vaccines, and if that much corruption can be done on our food side of things, then what makes people think that that kind of corruption can't occur on our pharmaceutical side? And especially when you're talking about the pharmaceutical industry has had to pay, what was it, Pfizer had to pay the biggest fine in history because of some medication that they put out that was killing people. You have
Yeah,
Vioxx, which was a heart medication that was causing heart attacks and stuff. So
yeah,
it's interesting to see people sort of fall in line and trust these big corporations and trust that they have our best at heart when they have done nothing but prove over and over again that they don't. Not to say that pharmaceutical companies don't create drugs that work. I'm medicated right now. Like I take a SSRI and stuff, and it works great. And I'm very thankful for it because it got my fucking craziness under control a little bit. But they also have that corporate capitalistic mentality of eternal growth, and they have to constantly making money, and it seems by any means necessary.
yeah, absolutely. And the way RFK even got into that conversation, he told it on a podcast recently. These moms just kept coming up to him and demanding that he looks deeper into the vaccine program, because they over and over their kids were the day after just totally shutting down, becoming autistic and having all sorts of neurological issues.
Hmm.
And it just became overwhelming because these moms kept coming to him and coming to him. And so then he sat down and started looking through the science, and he's like, man, there's something to this. So um yeah, there should be a lot more strict testing to be done, is his main campaign. And he's not saying that we're totally against all of them. He just wants them to be treated the same.
Right, and I think that's where that's where intentionally it seems that people are sort of stepping in his way and putting up blockers because they're just, all they do is they sort of put on this label, right? It's like he's an anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist, racist, homophobe, whatever it is, whatever the title is they put. It's like you can tell who they don't want you to listen to by the labels that they assign to people, right? It's like right wing extremists, RFK Jr. Like it's very obvious. It's like when there's somebody who's saying something that a certain group of people don't like, or the powers that be, I should say, because certain group of people could be anybody, but the powers that sort of run our everyday life are not into it when they're sort of labeling and being told. And we know that our government is in direct connection with these media corporations, especially with the Twitter files when they came out, and they showed that the FBI has a direct line to Twitter. They have a direct line to these news media companies too. I mean, it's very obvious when you see people just repeating the same shit over and over. It was like when Joe Rogan was eating horse paste, right? Like they kept saying horse paste, horse paste, horse paste, or farm medicine, and they're talking about ivermectin. And it's like the fucking thing is like one of the greatest drugs ever developed. And the inventor got a Nobel Peace Prize, I believe, and like all. It's very obvious when they don't like what someone is saying and it's going against a certain narrative, and,
Hmm.
and it's very frustrating. And you see it, like you get censored from these platforms. I mean, I've been censored on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok, Instagram, all those things for just saying certain things that goes against a certain narrative, and that just seems so un-American. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been censored as well. I was doing some speeches through Toastmasters and posting those on YouTube, and I was sending out one last hope. Was it 20 January 2022? I did one about my biggest failure in my life. I'd gotten in a car wreck, and I was drinking and smoking, and I had a 5-year relationship that ended. I got in this crazy car wreck, almost died, and I was talking about how all of the great things I've done now, and I was able to use that failure, as a catalyst for growth and change. And the big message I was saying at the very end of that speech was like, this is our collective failure. We've gone too far, and we definitely can't be injecting kids with the experimental vaccine. And there was 15,000 scientists and doctors that all signed this agreement, making a declaration to not jab children. And then they went on to mandate it in some California places and other liberal places. So yeah, there's been a lot, but at the same time, all of this darkness and whatnot, to me, it's brought out more and more light from me, and forced me to evolve. And I've seen people around me to get their shit together. We gotta you know
Yeah.
evolve a little faster. So I don't know. I feel in a way that it was all needed to speed up the evolution of humanity.
Yeah, for better or for worse, either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a wild time to be alive. And I know a lot of people say like every generation has like these big issues they got to get past, but I really don't know, you know, besides like the Civil War, I've never known a time when America has been so divided on every fucking issue, man. Like every fucking issue has to, it has to require fucking this huge debate, and then someone's gonna be called a racist or something. Like it's just nothing. There's no. It feels like people are actively trying to stop the progression of having even a simple conversation. When you talk about conversations, having conversations like this is like these type of conversations are so necessary, because it shows that people who don't, because like I'm sure there's things that we don't agree on, but I wouldn't have any problem with you disagreeing with me, because that's your opinion, and that's how like we can learn from each other. It doesn't matter if you think a different way, it's okay. And it just feels like we're not allowed to have these conversations. We're not allowed to agree. It beckons the whole divided we fall, right? Like together we stand, divided we fall. Divide and conquer is probably the better way of saying it. How do you see us sort of working past this? Like, I mean, I literally cannot think of another time that we've been so divided, besides the Civil War again, on every single fucking issue. What do you think a good positive way through this would be?
Um, for me, it's just trying to make it as simple as possible and just focusing in on my little world. Meditating every morning. Saying thank you to the bus driver. Hugging people. I love hugs. There's a stat that if you Dr. Zach Bush said the study where 7 hugs a day reduces the chances of getting the flu by 30%, because you have this exchange of microRNA and this microbiome, and you're getting serotonin releasing. It's we. I think it's more simple than we think, and I used to, think I'd have to just do so much, and go do this big idea or go out and do this crazy thing. But I think it's much more simpler than that. Just building the deeper relationships with our inner circle, with our family. I've been trying to, reach out to my dad more, and grandparents, and I learned so much from the elders, and I think just little stuff like that is all we can really focus on, and that's good for the mental health. And then as much as possible, try to like I have my phone on silent. I get like no notifications. I don't look at news at all. I usually get news from my brothers, or somebody else send me the most important news that I need to know anyways.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the crazy Canadian fires. I didn't know
Fucking
about
Canada.
that until
Well, Chicago
that,
is, yeah, really, it's really foggy over there with the smoke.
oh yeah, I got back a few days ago from my trip up in Minneapolis, and I just like look out, and it's like, yeah, just a foggy haze, and then I start getting this brain fog, within hours of being back, and then I turn my air purifier back on, and it's got a reader on there, and it's usually the lowest pollution most of the time when it's running, and it just went to full blast, and it was full blast for 24 hours, and then it finally went down to like the second notch for the next
Wow.
24 hours, and then last night it finally went down, so it might be subsiding a little bit. But
And
even
this
that,
was
I wonder.
indoors. This was in your house.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it just permeates everywhere.
Right,
But
right. But
um,
the fact that it was so high in your own home, when especially when they're telling you to like stay inside, don't go outside, and please, I'm sorry.
yeah, even that, I wonder, because I've seen videos of there's like thermal vision videos of when that fire started up in Canada, and it's just like it instantaneously, this huge mass all of a sudden all came online, like everything was lit on fire at once. It wasn't like a slow progression, and
Dude, that's
it
crazy.
makes
That's
yeah, it
wild to
makes
think.
me,
Yeah, go please.
I don't know, it just makes me wonder if
Right.
it's part of a whole agenda.
Well, okay. I know we're going out here now. We're going out into the
Oh yeah, we're going deep.
into the weeds now. But I was talking to somebody, because you know how there's been all these train derailments and all these, I don't, these food manufacturing places that are all just blowing up and stuff.
Yeah,
And there was a big load of thermite that a train derailed, and then that thermite just came up missing. They don't know where it's at. And thermite is a very highly combustible element, and they'll use it in demolitions. They'll use it in starting fires, and the amount of thermite. So when you say that, it's very interesting to think. It's like, where did that thermite go? Well, maybe it went to burn fucking 19 million acres of fucking forest up in Canada. I don't know. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it is weird that we're having all these derailments. What was it? There was like, I don't know, there was like 2,800 big food manufacturing facilities a couple years ago, and now half of them, half half of those have been burnt or have ceased to produce because of some random fire or some kind of disaster that happened, and it's
Yeah.
just so weird. Like what's going on? You know, like why are we whatever takes the eyes off the Bidens? Yeah. Haters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that too. That too. There's.
And
Go ahead.
they're trying to usher in the digital passports and have more control over us that way. I know in like I think it was Iraq, they were already using like food rationing and you had to have your passport and if you didn't get whatever jab that they told you to get, then you couldn't get food. Like that could be a possibility, in the future.
Yeah.
That they're trying to manifest, but it's not happening.
I mean, I think that if we had another large disaster of some kind, whether it's a pandemic or a terrorist attack, whatever it is, I think they could probably scare people enough into something like that. And that's that's a problem because you man, I mean, because like right now, like people act like this shit ain't happening right now on Earth, like in China right now. Like I read this dude did an interview with this random person who was interviewing people in China, and he was like, "Well, I was supposed to have the weekend off and go visit my family in another province or whatever, and I was going to take the speed bullet train, which would only take about an hour and a half to get there." But I my social credit score was too low, and I lost privileges to use the bullet train. Now I have to take a bus, and it's going to take me 2 days to get there, and such. So like these are like real shit. This is real shit that's happening now in the world. It's just the same way when people think that slavery ended. Like we have more slaves today than we have ever in history on Earth, and some argue that the prison system here in America is slavery. So
Mhm.
it's interesting to see how people sort of have fallen in line. And anytime you have any sort of major event like 9/11, we gave up our rights, the Patriot Act 2, the other one that Obama did, where you can just take Americans and no trial, nothing, just lock them up or dispose of them. Anyway, by it with no notice, nothing, no judge has to be involved. They can just go take your ass. They can just go through your shit. And because we were so scared to sort of, and we were scared, and big daddy government was like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And then the pandemic came, and now all this censorship. Now they're saying misinformation. We are quickly heading towards a dystopian future that is so just the opposite of what American ideals are. It is truly scary, and
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, I just keep talking shit on the internet, I guess, but
Well, I'll did you see my new music video, Fuck the 5G?
yeah, I actually wanted to bring that up. It already happened.
Yeah.
People lost their jobs because of the jab. How do you feed your family? Yeah, exactly. That shit went down. Yeah, and it's on Rumble too, which I have to say I love that it's on Rumble. Should we watch it? Should we watch the video, and then we could talk about it?
Sure.
He says, "Sure, why not?"
But yeah, I mean that's there's a book, Geoengineered Transhumanism, that I was reading, and there a lot of the electromagnetic radiations, really bad for us in 5G and also Wi-Fi and our cell phones and everything else. But I really, made that song to bring to light the solution of biogeometry, which is founded in 1968,
Hmm.
the world's first regional EMF solution to help harmonize that energy and bring balance, to our systems. And, for instance, I got like this ring on that has these different subtle energy patterns of the organs in my body.
Okay.
And when my organs get out of balance, they will resonate with those subtle energy patterns and help harmonize. And so
Well, that's
it's pretty fascinating. I've been training the last year, and then looking to become a practitioner next year. And I'm going to focus more, I think, on farmers and helping, because you can remove the need for antibiotics in chickens using all sorts of different colors and shapes and proportions, and there's all sorts of different tools. But in that video I just made too, I have the Hemberg emitter, which Dr. Green did an entire documentary in this town of Hemberg, Switzerland, where they put up a cell tower and people started getting headaches and getting sick, and the cows were getting sick too. And they tried everything. They're like, all right, we'll bring this crazy guy with this sacred geometry. But Ibrahim Karim came in, installed all these shapes, was able to harmonize that entire town. People started getting better. The cows started getting better. So, it's not a placebo effect. And he's done just study after study after study. If you look at biogeometry.com, there's just a plethora of research. And it's really building upon anesthesia, the French. Back in the 1930s, used the science of resonance to heal people, and you can measure your personal wavelength with a pendulum, and then you can test supplements and see if that supplement's going to strengthen your energy field or weaken it. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. And so, yeah, it's just like it's endless possibilities there. And, it gives me a lot of hope, because that Hemberg emitter I have in that music video, when you point it at the right angle at those towers, it'll actually transmute the negative energy and then send out positive energy from the tower. So if we had enough people to learn this sacred science and all around the world, transmuting all the towers, then we just have this healing energy, and take their guns basically and turn them into flowers shooting out the gun. It's a good metaphor.
There you go.
And so actually I did another podcast. I got deeper into biogeometry with the One Heart Healing podcast. I put it on my YouTube. Somebody wants to learn more about that. But yeah, biogeometry.com right there. There's so much info.
Yeah, I think I listened to some of that, and the interviewer was actually bringing up the research of the professor or the scientist who was working with rice, and how and I've actually seen that documentary. I think it's, what is it from? I know it's a documentary, but it's a certain documentary talking about how emotions and intention can sort of shape your everyday, and it's about like it has to do with like the secret and drawing energy to you and drawing wealth and stuff, but the secret's kind of whack. But it is interesting to see these different like, because one bowl of rice, he was yelling at the rice, calling it names. And then there was another bowl of rice where he was giving it compliments and telling it that I loved him. And then after a certain amount of time, like a month later or something, the rice that they were saying nice things to was edible and not rotting. And then the stuff they were talking negative, it was all gross and growing fungus and bacteria and stuff. So it's interesting, it's an interesting thing, and I know a lot of people will call this like pseudoscience and stuff, but there has to be something to it, and don't they think that the 5G is fucking with the bees too? Aren't they saying something about that? Like,
absolutely, yeah, it's fucking with the birds, the bees, the butterflies, the microorganisms. But
do you think
yeah,
that 5G was, because remember 5G back when the pandemic, 5G was like, they're going to release 5G, it's going to like activate your vaccines or something. Like, you're not going that far with it, or are you going that far with 5G?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, activating.
Yeah,
but
there was just some weird.
If somebody wants to go deep in this, there's a book called The Invisible Rainbow. And Arthur Burstenberg has looked back the last 100 years, and every time there's a huge increase in, like when we first brought in radio. Radio. There was a flu pandemic. There is some evidence of our bodies taking time to acclimate to the new technology that we continue to add, and more intense radiation. That book is mind blowing to see, because it's not just the 5G, it's even the wires and going to the computer, coming from your computer, the cell phone, the lights,
The
but you can
Wi-Fi.
harmonize all of that with biogeometry,
How would
which
you?
is the beautiful.
So, like, let's say that you wanted to harmonize your house, and but you're very electronic involved. So you have the Wi-Fi, you have your 5G, you have your computers, you have the lights, the fluorescent lighting, and all that stuff. How could one sort of try to make that, adjust the resonance in one's living quarters?
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different attachments
Hmm.
that you can put, like on let's say the big outlet power strip. You could put an attachment on there that has specific sacred geometry that, as the energy comes in, it'll transmute it and turn it into a beneficial energy. And this can all be tested, which is the amazing thing, through the physical radiesthesia. And it's it's pretty mind blowing. Like, there's even for instance, like, you look our houses, they're all 90-degree angles, which is not a healthy flow for the energy. And so if you have trash in a corner, for instance, it's going to push out that energy to the center of the room. So one thing is to leave corners open, or take a plant,
Hmm.
and you can put a plant in the corner of the room, and then that's going to send out good energy to the center of the room. That's something that anybody can do, right away. But even just taking the foundations training, you can learn how to use, really cheap stickers that have colors on them,
Hmm.
and you can put those. I have them all over my wall, and you test the BG3 energy, which is the one harmonizing energy that Dr. Kareem founded. It's essentially the unified field, quantum field energy that's in all living things. And you can measure that as you're starting to move around this color. The color has a frequency, and you're getting it at a specific spot, to where it brings in that harmonizing energy to the center of the room. So then you find, like, the specific spot for all of those frequencies to really harness the BG3 energy. And BG3 is when there's the three energies all together: the higher harmonic of gold, the higher harmonic of ultraviolet, and the negative green energy, simultaneous at the same time. And when you pray, for instance, your BG3 energy just skyrockets up. And
Hmm.
so that was the coolest thing about the foundations training. That was an exercise. You would take like a blank piece of paper and measure it before you pray on it, and it would not have any energy coming off of it. And then you put it in your palms and pray. And you could even send gratitude if you don't believe in God. Just send thank you, or gratitude, or love for your daughter, your son, or whatever. And do that for a minute. And I've done this with family and friends, and every single person, there's some amount of energy, and you can quantitatively measure that. And that's really powerful. For me, is like, nobody's ever tangibly shown a difference in energy after doing a gratitude prayer, or whatever it is. So it really blows people's minds to see that. So it's such a deep sacred science, and there's so much to jump in there. Yeah. Oh, you're on the website right now. So yeah, like the energy balancing tray, you can put like any type of supplements on that. That's going to fill up that BG3 harmonizing energy on whatever you put on there. You can put your water on there, and over time, it's just going to put more and more healthy centering energy into whatever you set on that tray.
Hmm. Yeah, that's wild, man. That's It's really interesting, and there's a part of me that wants to believe in it, and there's a part of me that's just like, I don't know, what is it, what's the science behind it, what's the testing and stuff. So, I'm very open minded, and I'm all about fucking, sending gratitude and stuff and doing that kind of thing. So, I'm very open minded. I want to look into it a little more and see what's going on because it's really interesting. I've always been into this shit.
Yeah.
Let's check. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Paul Chek has some really good podcasts with the founder, Dr. Kareem, and then his daughter went on there. If you guys want to dig deeper there. And then Dr. Robert Gilbert, he's on Paul Chek's podcast. He was my instructor. He teaches in the U.S. at the Vesica Institute, Sacred Geometry and BioGeometry. And if anybody has the Gaia streaming service, there's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen on sacred geometry with Dr. Gilbert. It's like 19 episodes, and then he gets into biogeometry in the 19th episode. But yeah, Paul Chek's an amazing podcast. He's got such a plethora of information.
Would this sacred geometry apply to like the pyramids and stuff, like how they're positioned?
Yeah, it's really harnessing that ancient Egyptian technology. And Dr. Kareem is Egyptian. He's an Egyptian architect. And his whole vision is like, we could do things to correct the issues we made, but eventually we want to restructure how we build all of our houses to where, you can make the exact angles, create harmonizing energy. And he's done that with, several different buildings over the years. But, if we could basically create healing apparatuses that we live in and work in to where you don't have to do all these corrections.
That's fucking dope. I like that, like, feng shui has found a way into it as well, like just setting up your room. My wife's really into feng shui, and so the way our living room is set up is very much like, to harness the best energy. And I don't get it. I'm kind of dumb. So like it's interesting, man. It's just interesting that sort of the feng shui aspect has sort of melded with technology, and now we're sort of going forward with these ancient knowledge mixed with like the new shit. We should definitely check out your video, which can only be found on Rumble, friends. So go out and get yourself some of this. We're gonna make this look nice too, and we'll make it bigger. We'll all be chilling here watching this. So give me a second. Let me tighten this up a bit.
And yeah, Dr. Kareem, he's Muslim, so I wanted to pay some respects to him. You'll see the prayers at the beginning, and also I dress up as an ancient Egyptian. That's, where all the technology's coming from.
You gotta pay homage. All right, so let's watch this video, and it is only on Rumble, so check it out, and I'll drop the link in the chat. We'll make sure a link is in the show notes as well, so everybody who's listening on the audio end can come and enjoy this. So let's I'm dropping that in the chat right now, guys, so go ahead and click on that as well. All right, so let's watch this, and we will be right back, and enjoy.
Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Hold on, I'm going to share this with you so you can hear it too. Give me 1 second. We'll start this over. I don't think you can hear it, so. Boom. All right. Here we go. Starting over. Doing it again. Let's go.
Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. And I'm the baddest motherfucker in the baddest motherfucker with the past, the blast. Got that traumatized mind, so I laugh so fast. I've been slaying my demons, I've been saying my prayers. I got all of my angels in that spiritual warfare. Geoengineered that transhumanism, graphene oxide polluting
in our waters. Suicidal thoughts broadcasted to our brains. Here comes Big Brother with the Internet of Things. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry, bitch. Medical radiesthesia must have came from Mars. Ibrahim Kareem sent from the stars. Evolutionary leap, shining light with my bars. Ancient Egyptians all smiling from afar. The invisible rainbow opened up the floodgates. Electrification making nothing but hate. Sacred geometry reignited our soul. Regeneration makes my heart feel so whole. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. 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 Bitches bursting out of the purses with these biblical verses. God willing, we fly like an eagle in the sky. There's nothing on earth that can't be harmonized. We got truth on our side. I see the light through the lies. I open up my mind, speed up my bars, then I smoke. I drink the ayahuasca, now I'm overflowing with another big ass dose of hope. Meditating and praying, my meditation is slaying. I'll try every religion as long as my heart is in sync with what my head is saying. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry. Fuck the 5G, we got biogeometry, bitch.
Oh shit, I didn't know I was unmuted. I'm fucking dumb. All right. Let's go. Let's go. There we go. Man, that goes, man. That goes. Let me get back over here. Now I know you got to go here soon, so well, I know we're running over a little bit. We'll wrap this up. Just real quick though, have you ever done ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Sick.
Five times or so.
5 times, goddamn. Can you?
That's not a lot compared to a lot of other people.
Well, like if you,
it was.
Oh, go ahead, please. Sorry.
It was such a deeper experience because it's such a beautiful container, but the ceremony and there's shaman, they have the altar with crystals and they just play beautiful music and just sending out these love frequencies, and the songs are Icaros that the natives created intentionally to help you through the trip and the journey. And so I've in the past when I was younger, I did a lot of LSD and shrooms, just hanging out with friends, and this is just such a more intentional and safe environment is what it feels like within that container that allows for deeper healing. And yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, yeah. So, were you in like the jungle doing it, or were you in the city? Like, what was your setting?
No, I haven't been to the jungle yet. I just in a yoga studio.
Oh shit! In Chicago.
Yeah. They brought the jungle to the yoga studio.
Well, I mean that's like the trend now, right? Like I know when I was in Austin last time, someone offered a chance to do it, and then I know LA, I know they're doing it in Brooklyn. I think I had a chance to do it in Detroit. I just haven't taken the step. I feel like I wouldn't mind doing it here because the fucking jungle is crazy, man. Like I don't want some like panther like eating me while I'm high off my ass, Was your experience pretty positive? Was it a positive experience? Did you have negative things going on? What was your?
I mean, there was it's just like any other psychedelic. There's definitely some extremely challenging trips within the 5 trips, but it's the difficulties are usually the times that you grow the most and have the most stuff that comes to light, your shadow, the parts of yourself that you don't really see, kind of get like a different perspective on your life and some of your shortcomings and stuff. You can come back from that experience and turn it over a new leaf and make improvements in your life. So I don't know, actually I used to rap back in high school, in college, and then I stopped because I got really sick. that's how I got into farming and everything, because I was, you know, really, really sick, and then I
What
switched over.
what happened, if you don't mind?
Oh, I between trauma and eating processed foods and everything we're talking about, electromagnetic radiation and all this stuff, I think it was just a conglomerate of toxins, and I was having sharp chest pains. It was like 15 per day. I was starting to count them up, and it felt like a knife just piercing through my chest. And I switched to a whole foods, plant-based diet, and within 2 weeks, it went down to 7 or 8 per day. And I was like, "Damn, this is doing something." And then after 3 months, it went down to 1 per day. And then, really, like 3 to 4 years, I was pretty strict. I would have some deer venison for my family and some local eggs here and there. But eventually I started incorporating fish and meat, because I noticed personally that my cognitive processing got a lot better when I did bring in those rich omega-3 fats that you get from grass-fed regenerative meats. And so, why did I bring that up again?
Oh, because I was asking you your experience with ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no! I was asking
so
you
I was
what happened. Go ahead.
I got it now. I was rapping, back in high school and college. Then I got really sick, so I stopped doing that and, you know, tried to get my shit together. And then I did ayahuasca in late 2020, and that actually ignited the creativity again, and that's when I started rapping again. The first music video that I came out with was called Topsoil, and it was like a, you know, old school video. There was no editing at all. I just had an ex-girlfriend use it, or ex-wife actually. And one of my music videos I made about my divorce, it's called Divorce. That was one of my most popular songs, which I shine a lot of light on my own vulnerabilities and my own childhood trauma, and blame myself really. But I air out my grievances a little bit. But I just wanted to say that I attribute the opening up of the, creative inspiration. It happened, right after that first ayahuasca experience. So it also, forced me to heal from, a lot of traumas, and forced me to face those, traumas and whatnot. So that was difficult, but it also, turned on the creativity again, which was a lot of fun, and got a lot more into spirituality as well. And so yeah, I'm a huge fan of plant medicines if they're done in a safe environment and with a true shaman that's not trying to do any
weird stuff.
crazy stuff.
Yeah, because I've definitely heard. Go ahead, Billy.
Sorry.
No.
Which this L90 that you can buy, it's only $24. Dr. Kareem talks about this on the Paul Chek podcast. It actually helps if there's an evil shaman, let's say, and you're going into the ceremony. They'll actually ask you to take it off because it's preventing them, from doing a psychic sort of attack on your energy. So I don't go into any ceremony without this ever since I learned that on Paul Chek's podcast. So that's another good reason to get this. But this will also instigate some evolution because, it's very good for electromagnetic energy that comes in as well. But any type of negative entities or energies that you're carrying around will start to get angry as this protects you. So it's very powerful.
By the way, if the you can't hear it, but the music in the background, people listening, this is the Icaros. This is the music that they play for these ceremonies using ayahuasca and stuff. So people listening and on stream here, that's what's going on in the background. Dude, Ryan, I've had a great conversation with you. I appreciate you coming on the show, and thank you for going a little late and such. But is there any what's the best piece of advice? This is our last question. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Well, I've been meditating, for the last 10 years, and I was about 5 years into my meditation practice, and I read a book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, our ego starts to get all excited, like, oh, we're spiritual now, and your ego sort of attaches to this newfound spirituality. And so I started like asking, everybody I met, you meditate, and this magician comes back to me. I ask him if he meditates, and he looks at me. He's like, no. But every morning I say, this is going to be the best day of my life. And when I go to bed at night, I say, tomorrow's going to be the best day of my life. And so it was just cool to simplify it and break it down, like, that affirmation, like I've been using that ever since. It was like 5 or 6 years ago when he told me that. And this is going to be the best day of my life. And, whatever difficulties that come through, it feels like it's easier to push through those and just set that intention for the day.
So the best piece of advice is set a good intention for your day.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Man, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you. Everybody, please put your hands together for today's guest, Regen Ryan. Ryan, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Peace. There goes Regen Ryan. There goes Regen Ryan. Oh yeah. There goes Regen Ryan. There goes Regen Ryan. There goes Regen Ryan. Mighty! Thank you so much for gift subbing Wild But Sober, a gifted sub. I appreciate you. All right, y'all. That will do it. That's gonna do it. Oof, shit. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. We will be back Monday. We will be back on Monday with another guest who I can't remember. Let me see who it is, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. Calendar. I think it's Benjamin Lewis. Benjamin Lewis, who is an artist from music artist from Los Angeles. I think he's from Los Angeles. He lives in Los Angeles, and I think they do. Let me see. I forgot. They do like some more activist type music, I think, or mental health music. Maybe check it. Let me see. Let's just check it out, guys, because why the fudge not? So here's some of his music.
I feel like I'm a ghost. Every time I try to reach, I always seem to fall. And it hurts more 'cause I'm the one.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Crashing down. Soon I'll fall into the ground. I'm scared of falling down.
It is a vibe, isn't it?
Shouting loud, but no one hears a sound. No one hears a sound. Help me, save me, 'cause I can't do this on my own. Hear me, guide me, 'cause
I got it all wrong, dog.
You're all alone.
It's a beautiful video. I've seen a couple of his videos.
Crashing down. Soon I'll fall into the ground.
So there you go. That's who is on the show. Is it this one? One of them. One of them is. No, okay.
Living in this world is mostly to fit in a box. There's certain patterns about how one should act. But those of us who don't fit into what they think we're supposed to be, they won't accept you usually. They're trying to kill. Always picking up on my appeals.
Let's go.
Doctors telling me I should be taking pills.
Okay, never mind. He's not an activist, but you know what I'm saying. All right, guys. All right, let's mosey on the fudge out of here. I definitely have to take a leak. Definitely have to pee-pees. I got a pee-pee so bad. Oh, we get to raid Samo. We get to raid Samo. We get to raid Samo. All right, guys, we're raiding Samo. Finally. He actually streams during the day now. Jeez Louise. It's good. I will. I'll be working all weekend, but it'll be fun. I don't mind working. All right, guys. We're going to go check out our boy, Samo. Samo Honey Boy. Which I got to spell it correctly. Honey Boy. All right, y'all. We're going to go right over to Samo. We'll be back on Friday. And plus, I think next week, we're going to do 3 streams. So I think that's what's going to happen. 3 streams to Paradise. So I have a weekend. I have a 3-day week. So I think we're going to do 3 streams next week. So it'll be a good ass time. Oh, Naders is always... Naders is over here. Naders is in Samo. All right, guys, let's get your raid calls if you could get them. I guess I don't know. S raid. There we go. Get your raid calls that applies to you. Let's go over to Samo and give him some love and affection. And some kisses and stuff. All right, guys. Love you. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.